Close your eyes and listen to the hum of the city. You hear the taxis, the sirens, and the footsteps of millions. But there is another sound, a sound that no one in New York noticed for 3 years. It was the sound of a human breath hidden behind the marble walls of the city's most expensive real estate. In 1930, while the world was collapsing into the Great Depression, a man named Silas did the unthinkable. He didn't just lose his home, he decided to take a new one where no one would ever look. He didn't move into a shack or a tent, he moved into the very skyscraper he had helped design. This is not just a story of survival. This is a story of a psychological heist. A man who became a ghost to become a king. Today we are going to walk through the walls with Silas. We are going to see how he lived, how he hunted, and how he eventually owned the very ground he was hiding under. If you think you've reached your limit, stay with me. Because what Silas did with $17 and a wrench will change your definition of impossible forever. To understand where Silas went, you have to understand what he lost. 6 months before he disappeared, Silas was a lead mechanical engineer. He was a man of blueprints and precision. He had a wife, a young daughter, and a dream of building his own firm. But the Great Depression didn't care about blueprints. Within 90 days, the banks closed. His firm went bankrupt, and a fever took his family because he couldn't afford a doctor. Silas was left with a hollow chest and a suitcase full of tools. Psychologically, he was in a state of total detachment. When you have nothing to lose, the laws of society stop making sense. He spent weeks sleeping in Grand Central Station, watching people. He realized that New York was a city of faces and spaces. Everyone looked at the faces, but no one looked at the spaces between the walls. He remembered the maintenance voids, the 4-foot gaps between the elevator shafts and the outer masonry of the Sterling building on Fifth Avenue. He had designed those gaps. He knew that if he could get inside, he would be invisible. On the night of November 14th, Silas walked into the Sterling building. He wasn't wearing rags. He was wearing his old work uniform. He carried a toolbox. To the doorman, he looked like a man with a purpose. He took the service elevator to the 40th floor, waited for the janitor to turn the corner, and slipped through a small ventilation hatch. The air inside the walls was thick with the smell of grease and old dust. It was narrow, so narrow he had to breathe in just to move his shoulders. But as he crawled into the mechanical void, he felt something he hadn't felt in months: safety. He found a flat concrete ledge near the massive steam pipes. It was warm. He laid down his coat and used a stack of old blueprints as a pillow. That night, Silas didn't sleep like a beggar. He slept like a soldier in a fortress. He had $17 left in his pocket. He decided that those $17 would never be spent. They were his seed. He promised himself he wouldn't leave this building until those $17 were worth $17 million. For the next year, Silas became a master of the urban ecosystem. He learned the heartbeat of the building. He knew that the 12th floor executive kitchen threw away fresh bread at 11:15 p.m. He knew that the gym on the 4th floor had showers that were empty between 3 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. But Silas did something that separated him from every other homeless person in the city. He didn't just steal, he contributed. He saw a vibration in the secondary water pump, a flaw that would eventually flood the lobby. At 2 a.m., using his tools, Silas crawled out and fixed it. He replaced worn-out gaskets. He oiled the elevator pulleys. He was the building's guardian angel. The building managers were confused. Their maintenance costs were dropping. Repairs were happening magically. They started calling it the ghost of Sterling. Psychologically, Silas was reclaiming his power. He realized that the CEOs in the offices weren't smarter than him. They were just louder. Through the vents, he listened to their board meetings. He heard their secrets. He heard about upcoming mergers, real estate deals, and market crashes. He was getting the most expensive business education in the world for free, while sitting in a 4-foot crawl space. In the 3rd year, the Sterling building was in trouble. A rival tycoon was trying to force a hostile takeover. They had sabotaged the building's main power grid, and the elevators, the lifeblood of the tower, were failing. The owner, Arthur Sterling, was a broken man. He sat in his office on the 50th floor, staring at a bankruptcy filing. Silas knew it was time. He didn't want to be a ghost anymore. He didn't sneak in. He walked through the main office door, covered in the gray dust of the walls, looking like a man from another century. He placed his $17, now old and wrinkled, on Sterling's desk. "You're looking for the short circuit in the basement," Silas said. "But the sabotage is in the 22nd floor junction box. I've already bypassed it. Your building is back online." Sterling was stunned. He tried to call security, but then he looked at Silas's eyes. They weren't the eyes of a madman. They were the eyes of the man who had kept his empire breathing for 1,000 days. Silas handed him a notebook. It wasn't just a maintenance log. It was a strategic map of how the rival tycoon was cheating the system. Silas had heard the whole plan through the vents. Arthur Sterling didn't just thank Silas. He made him his partner. He realized that Silas knew more about the guts of the city than any man alive. Silas took his $17 and his knowledge of the shadow spaces and started a company called Shadow Management. He became the man who secured and managed every major skyscraper in Manhattan. He knew the secrets behind the walls, and because of that, he became the man who controlled the city. He died in a penthouse on the very top floor of the Sterling building. He wasn't hiding anymore, but he always kept that 4-foot crawl space on the 34th floor exactly as it was. A reminder that success isn't about the lights, it's about what you do when you're in the dark. So, when you look at your life and you feel like you're trapped in a narrow space, remember Silas. The walls are only a prison if you don't use them to build your strength. The American dream is not a gift. It is a heist. You have to be willing to go where no one else will go, to see what no one else will see, and to work when no one else is watching. Your $17 is waiting to become a fortune. The only question is, are you brave enough to disappear until you're ready to lead? Don't just survive the struggle, own the struggle.